Today's lesson is Descriptive Statistics, and what that is mean, median, mode, and range. On mean, you all have been doing that with mean absolute deviation. What did you have to do to find the mean for mean absolute deviation? Average. And so the key is the word me with the A right there. It's average, A-V-E. And it's mean teachers give averages. So what that means is you have to add all the numbers and then do what? Divide by what? There you go. Add all the numbers. And divide by the total numbers in the data set. Divide by the total numbers in the data set. The median you see every day when you're coming to school, when you're driving down the road. And that D is because when you're driving down the road in the center of the lane, you have the stripes, or a double stripe. If you're driving down Broadway in Tyler, they have shrubs down the center of the median, and if you're going to drive down the center of it, you're going to run into a whole bunch of shrubs. And so this is your middle number. It's your middle number when ordered least to greatest. So I think of the D that's in the center there, and it's middle, M-I-D-D-L-E. So you have me, average, median, middle, and then mode. The key of it is mo, which is the number that occurs the most often. And the range, if you think back in the Western days and all, or whenever people go on cattle drives, do they always go the same amount of distance, or do some days they go a short distance, and other days they have to go for days? A really long distance to go get the cattle. Does it vary? Yes, no, maybe? We're still asleep. Yes, it varies. You never know. Well, the range on a number line is the same with the values of the numbers. You want to take your lowest number or your largest number, the furthest distance, and subtract your smallest number. That finds the range of numbers. Which one are you looking at?
I need a reflection.
Oh.
It's on notes, I didn't see any extras.
Largest number minus the smallest number of the data set. is these are called your maximums and your minimums. The next thing in the example that they've done is they've taken all these values, once they've solved all of these with everything that we've said, and they've found the different parts on the number line. And my arrows have messed up, so we're going to have to correct some. Alright, so this first one is your lowest one, so it's your minimum number, is what that should say. It's your minimum. The first quartile number is the first number that occurs after your minimum number. And if they had 79 listed again in this data set, you wouldn't list 79. You can't put 2 dots on a dot. Just 1 dot. So it has to be the number that's after that that occurs. In this data set, the next number that occurs is 80. And so it's the next number, so your first quartile is 80. Your median, your middle number, is 87. And it's always going to be inside your 2 boxes. The third quartile number is just like the first quartile number. It's the next number that falls after the median in sequence. And so it's going to move and become 88. This will make more sense once we do it. Randall, it'd be nice if you would stand up and stay awake in my class. Thank you. And then your maximum number is the last one, the largest number. And what this is called on the number line is a box and whiskers plot. Y'all remember doing these? Back in 6th grade. It's a box and whiskers plot. So the next one says, determine the mean, median, mode, and range of the data set. Then draw the box plot. First thing you want to do is identify how many numbers are in the data set, and there's a reason for that. So how many numbers are in that set of data? There's 8. And so that is an even number. Something happens with your median whenever you have even and odd numbers. On your median, your middle number, if you have an even amount of numbers, then once you mark them off, if I was sitting here marking off these numbers, I would be left splitting 2 numbers. So I have to add up my 2 numbers and divide by the 2. I have to find the average of those 2 numbers. And so you have to find the mean of the 2 middle numbers. Now, if you have an odd amount of numbers, life is so much easier. The odd amount of numbers, it automatically just marks off, and as you take 2 off at the time, then you're only going to be left with one number by itself. And so an odd amount of numbers
This range.
will land on the middle number. Which one do you think you'll likely be tested on? Which one's more complicated? The odd one just lands, the even. They want to know that you know how to do that extra step. Write it down, Randall. You're not sleeping in my class. That's what a bed is for. You don't have a pillow here. All right, so your mean. To find the mean, you want to order them from least to greatest because that'll help you with everything else. And so what is my smallest number of this data set? Is there a 156? Don't look at this number line. 157. I'm going to leave space in between in case I mess up and I need to add. And so as I go, I'm going to use my finger to trace, and it's easier to keep up with it than just staring back and looking at a whole bunch of numbers. Do I have another 157? So I need to write that one down too, because it's part of the data set. I have to add it up. Mark it off as you go. What's the next lowest number? 159. Next. How many times? Okay, so 1, 2. Now what? How many times? So 161, 161, and then what? Count them, make sure you have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I can add them all up and divide by what? Yep. So when you add all of those up, what do you get? Rayleigh, I think yours is dead. You should have already copied that. Move on down. Start adding them with everyone else. What'd you get? 1,000 what? No. Yes. 1,280 divided by how many? How many in the data set? 8. And what do you get? That is your mean. Okay, your median. I'm going to move it over because I need some notes right here in a minute. So my median, what's the median actually? What number? The middle. And so the median, I have to take my two end numbers and mark them off until I get to the center. I have an even amount, so I'm going to end up splitting my numbers. I have 157 and 165. I'm going to take off the front and back each time. So 159 and 161. And now I split my two center numbers, and they just happen to be the same. Normally that's not the case. So you would take and go 160 plus 160 divided by 2. There's only two numbers there. You're splitting the center. And so that'll be what? 160. Okay? Your mode is your most often And so if I look at my numbers, I have 157 listed twice, so I'm going to put brackets around the top. 159 is once, 160 is twice, 161 is twice, and 165 is once. Therefore, I have 3 modes that are occurring 2 times each, 157, 160, and 161. Now your range is your maximum minus your minimum. And so your maximum number, circle it, and circle your minimum, and those are the 2 numbers you're working with. So 165 minus 157, what's the range of those numbers on the number line? 8. Which if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the range. Now for a box and whiskers. On the box and whiskers, automatically, I'm going to put a box around my smallest number, a box around my median, which my median split and went right here, and a box around my maximum. Automatically, I can go ahead and label those. And so 157 is my minimum. 160 is my median. And 165 is my maximum. Now all I have to worry about is my first quartile and third quartile. My second quartile is the median, the middle. And so my first quartile is the first number after, in my data set, after 157, which is what number? 159. You can't plot it twice. And so you'll move on over to 159, and this is your first quartile. Does that make sense? And you can put first Q, I'm good with that. Now your third quartile is the first number after your median that's listed. What's the first number after 160? There you go. So there's your third quartile, third Q. Draw a box around your median and your quartiles, and whiskers on each end. And you're done. It's a lot easier for me if I use the data set and just say, okay, these are the numbers I'm going to use. Does that help y'all? Okay, turn it over. How many numbers are in the data set? It says determine the mean, median, mode, and range of each data set. 10. Even number or odd? So what's going to happen on my median? There you go. She said you're going to have to add it and then divide. So the even number splits the middle. Okay, if we're going to order these least to greatest, what's my least? 0. Now what? 6. Okay, next. How many times? 2 times. Okay, next. Next. 20. Next. How many times for 21? 1, 2. Next. And then what? Is that 10 numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Add them all up and divide by 10. Find your mean, your average. What do you get when you add them all up? 164, and 164 divided by 10 is what? There you go, 16.4. It didn't say to round, so we're just going to leave that there. That number, going back to chapter 1, is that a rational or irrational number? Thumbs up for rational, thumbs down for irrational. It is rational. It's an easy decimal. Irrational has a whole bunch of different numbers at the end. Okay, your median. Your median, you have to take and mark off your two end numbers until you get to the center. And it's an even number, so you're going to split the center with two numbers. Mark off 14 and 21, and you're going to split 16 and 20. So 16 plus 20 is what? 36, and 36 divided by two numbers is what? 18. Now your mode is most often. It's listed once, twice, once, twice, once. So my two numbers that occur most often are what? Because they both occur the same amount of times, and they're both the most, you have to list both of them. And then your range is your maximum number minus your minimum number. So 28 minus 0 is what? There are 28 numbers within that data set. The numbers vary. That makes sense? Pretty easy? Good. All right, next one. How many numbers are in that data set? A lot. Yes. How many? 11. So what's going to happen on your median? There you go. Your odd number will get the middle number. Because when you mark each one out, you'll be left with just one number in the center. It's one less step of work. Now we get to order these least to greatest. Woohoo! What's your smallest number? 205. Okay. 205. Next. 225. Next. Next. Leave yourself some space in between in case you have to squinch in a number. Okay, next. 255? 250. How many 250s are there? There's 3. 1, 2, and then at the very end, 3. Now what? We already did 250. 255. Next. Next. And last. 295. When you add all of those up, what do you get? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 numbers. So I know I have them all. That's why I put this here to remind me. Mm-hmm. 2,750 divided by how many? So when you divide by 11, what do you get? 250. Fun, huh? What do I have to do to find the median? Mark them off. Front and back. Front, back. Front, back. Front, back. Back. Front, back. 250. And we're left with our median number. Odd numbers are friendlier. Okay, your mode is most often, this one's listed once, three times, once, and once. Yes. Now, what if 225 is listed twice? Would I write down 225 and 250? No. It's the one that occurs the most. Now, if it was written down three times, then they would both split it. Does that make sense? Okay. And then your range is your maximum number minus your minimum number of your data set. And so 295 minus 205, and you get what? There you go. Now a box and whisker. I know I have to use my minimum. I have to use my median. And I have to use my maximum. They've already been circled or squared. What's my first quartile number? The first one after the minimum. There you go. What's my third quartile number? Why isn't it 250? It's right after 250. It's the same number. You can't plot it twice. You can only put one plot. The dot. Now you've got your numbers for the number line. So 205, which is your minimum. Randall, write it down. 225, which is going to move on across. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's your first quartile, because your median is your second. It's halfway. 250 is your median. $255 is over here by 250. And it's your third quartile. And then 295 at the end for your maximum. A box around the center 3. And whiskers on your end. Does this help doing it like this? Yes, no, maybe? It's a lot. It's a lot. All right, last one. Number 4 on the back. How many numbers are in that data set? 8. So what's going to happen with your median? You have to split it. Split your center. Split the middle. if we're going to set those up least to greatest, what's my smallest number? 61. Mark it out as you go. Next. 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 Whoa. 87. Next. 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 Yep. And then 98. You've got 8 values there. When you add all of those up, what do you get? Go get your mask on. It's not a diaper. What do you get when you get the sum of those? 700 divided by 8 is what? 87.5. Those of you who are refusing to lift the calculators during this and actually participate, you can do it by hand without a calculator if you prefer. Alright, your median. You have to mark off your ends. It's an even number, so we're going to split the center. 84 and 97, 86 and 96. So you have 87 and 91. So 87 plus 91 gives you what? And 178 divided by 2 numbers gives you what average? There you go. Here is your median. And so right here, you want to draw a line down and say, this is where it's going to split. It gives you the visual. Now, all of these numbers are listed once. So is there a mode? Nope. And so you can't leave that blank. You literally have to put no mode. That is an answer. None of them are listed most. Okay, what's your range? How do I set that up? There you go. 98 minus 61, which is what? So the range of those numbers on the number line will be 37. What's my minimum number? 61. What's my first quartile number? What's my median? 89. That's why you drew that arrow. Okay, what's your third quartile number? It's the number right after 89. 91. You can use that number because it wasn't the same number. And then your maximum number? Now you can do your box and whiskers. And so you have 61 for your minimum. 84 is going to be on over here. That's your first quartile. 89 is not far from it. It's your median. 91 is really close to it. And I'm going to put it up here. That's your third quartile. And then 98 is at the end. That's your maximum. You know your whiskers are on the end. And a box around your center. Thumbs up, you're good. Thumbs down, you're lost.